Well, not everyone agrees. There is outrage in some corners tonight over the not guilty verdicts, with the lawyer for the complainant saying the justice system must be better. The ruling has some saying the system is not designed for survivors. CTV's Kimberley Fowler has been monitoring the verdict and has reaction from the ruling today. Kimberley.
Well, Patricia, despite protesters outside the courthouse saying "we believe," inside the presiding judge reading her verdict, all 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team acquitted of all charges. Representatives from at least a dozen sex assault centers gathered in support of EM, the alleged victim, who maintains what happened in a London, Ontario hotel room in 2018 made her feel she didn't have a choice. Some saying they're disappointed by the judge's ruling and that the system is not designed for survivors. Carleton University sexual violence prevention coordinator worries the high-profile nature of the case could make other victims more reluctant to come forward.
I think this just goes to show that, the burden of proof in the criminal justice system, that beyond a reasonable doubt is not a reasonable expectation for sexual violence. And it's difficult. I understand we're talking about the potential of somebody going to jail. But at the end of the day, I think we need to reframe what we expect for accountability in sexual violence and think about, is beyond a reasonable doubt really the right measure to find accountability?
Some legal experts say the trial showed flaws in how sexual assault complaints are handled, pointing to the 9 days of cross-examination and questioning EM was subjected to.
It seems instead that she found it was a case of actual consent, that EM had actually consented, and that means that she believed that EM, wasn't telling the truth in the courtroom. And I think that's a really hard thing for survivors to hear, and it echoes what many people think about the criminal justice system and sexual assault law.
Other legal experts add that regardless of the outcome, the verdict doesn't erase concerns about hockey culture and the power dynamics that can exist, and that what's legal doesn't mean what happened is morally acceptable. Now, this isn't necessarily the last chapter. When leaving the courtroom today, the Crown saying her team will carefully review the judge's decision to determine whether or not to appeal.